Hi everyone, welcome to ZoomChat's 2020. Today we are going to have quite the experience. We have four choreographers here to talk to you about showmanship, musicality, performance, authenticity, and anything else we come up with. So first we're going to start to introduce ourselves. We're going to do a lightning round, and they know they have to answer these questions without thinking, just answer as fast as they can. So Lynne Smith will be first. You ready, Lynne?
Ready.
All right, here we go. What's your favorite dessert?
Oh, cheesecake.
What did you play sports in school?
I attempted to play sports in school, but I wouldn't say I was terribly successful.
Did you ever go skydiving?
No.
Do you play the piano?
No.
Do you like to shop for shoes?
Yes.
All right. Judy, can you ice skate?
Yes, absolutely. I'm Canadian. Hello.
Do you like to fly on airplanes?
Yes,
Do
I
you
would
like
like to
mushrooms?
someday do that again.
Yes. Do you like mushrooms? No. Do you live close to where you grew up?
No.
No. Do you like camping?
Yes, I love camping.
Oh, excellent. All right,
I
Erin.
want that question. I love camping too.
Okay.
Let's
Erin,
go camping, Erin.
let's go. Erin, pizza or spaghetti?
Pizza.
Coffee or tea?
Neither.
Oh, favorite color?
Oh, people that see me coach would say black, but my actual favorite color is blue, like a deep blue.
Blue. Favorite trip you've ever taken?
Oh, for sure, Sedona, Arizona. Our family went hiking and we stayed in this. It was actually somebody that I coached and they loaned us their place to my family. And we went for the weekend. It was amazing. We got there, such, oh, it's our little second home. It's like this, wow. And it was like built in the side of a mountain and we hiked every day and it was all that red rock. If you've never been there, you should go. That was yeah, it was beautiful.
I don't think pictures can totally capture it.
No.
Colors.
Mhm.
Right. Last question, mountains or beach?
Oh. That, that's tough. Both. You usually find one next to the other anyway. Water and mountains. Out in
Excellent.
Vancouver anyway. Yes, I like them both.
All right. So, Erin, how long have you been in Sweet Adelines?
I just about 40 years actually. Joined when I was quite young.
There
Quite
you
young.
go. Judy, how about you?
26 years.
26
I
years.
wandered through the hallway of Lionsgate Chorus in 1994 for the Ready, Set, Grow program.
So, you've really found it by accident.
Yeah, and that was the first time I heard barbershop. I
Wow.
went there for my free voice lesson with 70 plus other women
Right.
and then discovered they sang, and it was the first time I heard barbershop, and I was like, oh my gosh, they're singing and dancing, and all the hairs on my arms were standing up, and I I,
That was
I
it.
was so,
You
yeah.
were gone. Lynn, how about you?
I joined in 1974. I was just 20 something. I'm close to 70 now. And I walked into Golden Sands Chorus, a chorus that I ended up directing about 30 some years later. So that was pretty cool.
It's great. I'm 30 years this year, and my sister was a Sweet Adeline, and my family thought it was a good idea for me to find something to do. So I went to the first rehearsal, and they were working on a ballad. I couldn't figure out where the piano was. I'd look at like, where's the piano? And the first time I held the music, it was just like, oh, I'm totally home. And I still feel that way. I miss it very much. I'm looking forward to being able to do it again. But we've all been so incredibly fortunate. And really, when you look at the four of us, we've traveled the world teaching performance skills, choreography. Judy, what would you say is your favorite part of coaching that you think is your niche?
I love to see the response of people when they put themselves out there and take a risk and discover something new about themselves. That is probably one of the most rewarding experiences as a coach and teacher, is to see people put themselves out there, to trust it, and then see the light bulbs going off.
How about you, Erin?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely, I would agree with Judy completely. I think that with any task, you love your art, you love what you do, but it's the human connection. It's that alignment with the human spirit, you know, that you actually connect with someone and they get you and you get them, and you create something beautiful. And I think that the risk taking also for me is big. Like I love to see that challenge. You know, I believe we're like an instrument of music. And so it's through us that the composer, the arranger, the lyricist, we are mediums through which that travels. And when you can help somebody else discover that they can shift people with what they do, every human can connect with another human. And when we figure out that we can be empowered that way and bring music into the lives of other people, it's amazing. I think about this men's chorus that I coached, and somebody came up and said, "Thank you for helping my son become a better man." And when somebody says something like that, you actually feel it. You know, at the end of our life, I feel like we just want to matter in the lives of somebody else, and we want to help other people matter in the lives of others. And I think that kind of interchange and connection through music, it's amazing. And when we can use our body, mind, and voice to do that, it's amazing.
That's beautiful. Lynn.
You know, as you guys know, I'm still teaching Rip Your Shower Curtain Open after many years. That feeling that you have in the shower when you don't think anyone's looking, and you're not concerned about what people think. You're just free and authentic and yourself, and you feel great, you know. And I want everyone to be able to feel that, to do everything they can to find their authentic self. We're all beautiful. We're all talented. We all have something to give.
It's one of my favorite aspects of our organization. Anyone can learn to sing and also learn to perform better and take some little risk. And many of them will talk about how shy they are in their personal lives. And then they come into the chorus setting, and then they'll try quartet, they'll audition for the front row, they'll, you know, just get a new job. They just grow in that environment because we can offer them some support. So I think we're very lucky to get to do what we do. And I remember the first time that I was fortunate enough to coach a chorus, and I realized it was adult learners that really clicked with me. I just it was like I could see the light bulbs going on, and I still love it after all these years.
Yeah.
So, Erin, what's your favorite way to create choreography?
Oh, you know, I have this saying that I live by, which is never say never, never say always. And I feel like I have, depending on the song and the group, I kind of have different things shooting at me at the same time. And to be honest, I start with playing the 4-part track. I take a look at the music, but I play that full mix with my eyes closed. And there's a movie that starts happening in my mind. And a lot of it is just response, not just to, I think it took me, when I first started, I looked a lot at lyric, and now it's so clear that there's so much, and there's emotion in everything, in the chord choices and the chord progressions and the arrangement, the embellishments, what the music is saying. And even vacant of lyric, there's an emotional story there. And I think it's allowing the picture to unfold. So when I'm creating, I'm actually attentive to all of those pieces. And I think it's important that we kind of address that together. I think all of us do that. I think we all acknowledge that there's more than just one element to music. Everything that is on that page in every measure, it's an emotion. It is screaming, "Come and notice me." And I think it's about, as visual, creators, and also in helping people to notice that as well. Our job is not just to create it, but to help the people that we're imparting this to, not just what we're doing, but purpose and why. So I'm a huge fan of people that have coached with me know that you have the term, you got to live in Whyville. Why did they choose that? Why does that do what it does? And what does that equal in picture? And what kind of language can I give you with my body to help me look like the music? So we got to become a song. So it's our job when we're creating to do that. And I think that there's a layering, I think as an example, in a more complicated arrangement, an arrangement has layers in it musically, we've got to create those layers visually. So basically, and when I create, I want to create something that looks like what I hear.
Awesome. And you do. You really do. How about you, Judy? Like, what is your process?
Um, Basically, I'm very similar in starting with the learning tracks typically, and I will move. I start dancing right away, and I try to allow my body to be inspired by what I'm hearing, even if it's the learning track, which may not be the final interpretive plan. I'll listen to each part, and I will also sing it as to the best of my ability to see what's singable and to see what as our instrument is moving. You know, if I'm trying to design something that perhaps will not be actually enhancing the musical product in the end because it's interfering with through the execution potentially. Um, and I'll definitely study the music. I'll definitely try to be aware of what's happening, and I also very frequently will consult with the director or the musical leadership to find out what the vision is at the very beginning. And I always start from a place of characterization. So that is really important to me. And oftentimes I find that the directors don't actually have that in mind from the start. So I find that we end up as choreographers influencing that or creating that or designing that, at least at an initial stage for many of these choruses. So I think that's really important for us to appreciate our input in that regard too. So that's what I do. I dance it, I sing it, I design it, and then go from there. Because I'm really a proponent of trying to encourage everybody, going along with what everybody's been talking about, as far as not getting cloned or put into a box of let's all do the same thing this year or next year. It's about exploring beyond competition and being, when we talk about the concept of authenticity, it's also getting more into the idea of what fits us, not just bringing the arrangement to life and being true to the music and serving the music. It's what serves us as a chorus or quartet to really be as believable and authentic, because this is who we are. And that's also the guiding place. So that's part of characterization for me as well. There always needs to be this connection for the performer with the design work.
And how about you, Lynne?
I would add something that I think is a little bit interesting for me. About 10 years ago, I discovered my my love, and it's a more theatrical style, and I found that that was my strength, and I enjoyed it so much that I almost have become a little bit selfish in my senior years of wanting to just do that, looking for choruses that choose that kind of music that lends to theater, and because, you know, I'm a better fit for that anyway.
Yeah, I think dimension is really important to the human eye. You know, I'm a huge it depends person, because the song dictates, right? So, you know, they were talking about theater and drama and character. I think everything, though, with dimension is, you know, whether you be talking about staging versus, you know, and I similar to, I think none of us, I think we have gone over the years in this, we have phased through, you know, when I first joined, it was, you know, keep your thumbs at the side seams of your pants. And then it was, oh, now you have a cylinder, cylinder. And then it was, okay, oh my gosh, we can do things with the group, not just as singles. And oh my gosh, now look, we can make waves. And so there were songs that had 24 waves in one song, because yay, we can do a wave. This is awesome. So
because we can.
I know, that was sort of the next phase. And so, you know, we kind of have gone through this, what's the next thing? And I think what's important is that everybody not say, what are they doing now? What are we doing now? What's the right way? But that we listen to the piece of music and say, what does it need? What's it crying out for? How can we become the song? And I think that we are victims of our own, you know, process. And I think we have to at some point let go of our need to please, and our need to follow. And I think that there's a groundbreaker in everybody. So I know this verges away from, you know, I kind of expanded on your question, but I guess it kind of all goes together. And I just think that I think that there's not there's not, when you talk about dimension and the concept of that, I love it. And you know, and I tend to think, you know, what's the picture and what's the frame? Who's the surfer? Who's the wave? You know, and how do we set that up? And I guess what I'm saying to you is, I don't think there's one thing that says we should always do this. I guess is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. So, I mean, I totally agree. There's, then we would have this regimented thing of trying to fit the same thing to every song, which won't work.
Yeah.
And so, for me, the vocal skills of that group really come into play. So we have to give them things that are going to facilitate
Yeah.
singing.
Dimension. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, dimension in your body, though, in the topic that you had mentioned, like we can create dimension in a picture, but if you have dimension in your own physical performance, that's going to cross over into the dimension in your music. They're all connected. So I love that you brought that up. I think that's a really good topic to consider for people.
Because I think
I would add to that, Renee, that because you had mentioned Judy and Erin, and I so agree with you. I believe that you two also are really skilled at looking at dimension of the entire picture too. I mean, the entire picture always has a dimension to it that is so mesmerizing, very, very entertaining, and moving. And I love that you use dimension in both the body itself and the overall picture.
I think part of that too is also being very mindful when you're designing, creating where the focal point will be for the audience. So where you know, when you're using the dimension, and whether it's individually or the ensemble, ensuring that the audience focus is going where you want it to be, and enhancing the arrangement as well in that regard. So that's something that's very conscious when I'm designing.
when I'm designing, I do have the view from the pit in mind. I can't help it. So, and that is a whole nother dimension. Like, what will, if we're speaking about competing, then that is an aspect of what you're doing. All of those performance skills, we then put them into a contest setting. And I do have that in mind too, because it's sitting below the stage. And I always try and picture that as well, because that is another angle. It's not necessarily the same as the audience, depending on the arena. But it's a very interesting aspect because those judges are sitting lower.
For leveling, Renee, on what you were talking about in terms of watching it from the ground up, I think that's really effective, actually. And I added, like, you could, this is for visual people if they're watching this, getting that crouch position like you would be in the pit is a really good idea to watch from there. And then straight on, and then I actually also asked them to stand on top of a chair and get a down, like a look this way, just from a balance is one of the biggest tough things. Like if you're talking about, I'm like a little bit of a balance freak. Anybody that knows me, it's like, oh, it's not, even I have to be in the middle when I'm watching them. I agree with that. The looking up, you know, getting all those views on it gives you a different feel of their, you know, out front, why it feels the way it feels. Yeah.
So I'll tell you why that came to mind. I was watching after Hamilton was released on Disney Plus. I started watching all these videos, and one of them was the choreographer, which I had a blast watching him. And he was saying that when he did that show, he had a 3-dimensional actual model at his house, and he spent every night for close to 2 years looking at all of his ideas from every angle. So he had the little turntable, and then he started talking about his choices. I mean, I was just, I'd give anything to just spend an hour where I could ask him questions. But I do think, I mean, I think all four of us really do picture things from many different ways, and that helps that picture come to life.
Did you picture when you were going to throw the body over the back of the risers? I don't know if that just was a vision that came into your mind.
I'm telling you,
Awesome. It was really.
It was silly and fun and goofy.
But you have to admit it created great dimension.
Absolutely, it was that crazy. Very, very glad I have that memory. So, can you share with us something you're doing right now to keep yourself motivated, singing at home? Judy, I know you're doing rock band stuff. Tell us about that. What else are you doing to inspire yourself right now?
The rock band is pretty much it. I mean, I'm inspiring myself by remembering that I can still stay connected to everybody through Zoom. It is definitely a different experience to teach and coach through Zoom. However, to be able to see everybody's faces and to be able to still talk about the things that we love so much, performance and singing is so important to me. The fact that hockey is back on now is really exciting for me. I'm an uber hockey fan, so yay hockey.
Yay.
But yeah, it's really interesting. About 2 years ago, my husband and I joined up a local School of Rock program here in West Seattle, and it's an adult program. And I've been learning drums, and he's learning keys. And it's been a really interesting process for me because it's been so different than what we do in Sweet Adelines. We sit down and we learn a piece of music and we just play it once and then we move on. And I'm like, we might want to do that a few more times because it's not perfect yet. And they don't understand that. And so it's been really good for me as somebody who's just worked so hard to get everything so right over the years. It's been really freeing and so enjoyable and fun. So that's inspired me to continue to try and put that message across to our barbershop friends because we have the opportunity to do all of it. So that's been inspiring to me.
So I love that you're finding a way to just, if you make a mistake, next song.
Well, and this is what I know all of us encourage when we're coaching and teaching everybody to take these risks and put themselves out there and explore new things. And,
Right.
One of the things I learned from Erin really early on is if you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing, you're not learning. So that's always in the back of my mind. And so when I, do as you say, right? So here I am doing all this stuff right now in quarantine, and I'm thinking, yeah, this is actually quite a good good experience for me to open my eyes to become a better coach and teacher too.
That's great. How about you, Erin?
It's been challenging and really good. I mean, I think I've learned more individually over the last 3 months than I had I mean, I'm talking about my own digging in, and even when it comes to, because I'm doing a lot of like Zoom coaching and Zoom PDIs and Zoom, just all of that stuff. I have really invested a ton of time in, like, I've learned how to make and edit videos, and like, I mean, I knew a little bit before, but I'm iMovieing myself to death. I'm like, oh, look what you can do here. Woo, this is so cool. And I'm actually getting excited about, I love creativity wherever it is. So I'm really enjoying that kind of stuff. As far as with North Metro, with my own chorus, we actually been meeting like every other chorus on Zoom calls, but I really find, you asked, has there been things you've been doing to help encourage you and, keep you motivated? And one of the things that our chorus really loves is just watching old performances, not only on the stage, but in the rehearsal hall. So videotapes that we've taken in rehearsals, and just watching the camaraderie and the fun again. And even when I'm building rehearsal videos, like I'll take a picture of when there was a time when our mics had broken and we had one mic and somebody had to run around with all the solo. We had to sing this song called One Voice, and they had to run around and to the different people, and everybody had busted up laughing. And so we had this picture of just after everyone had laughed and they were doing it, and she was holding this mic, and so I put that picture up and let them sing the song with that in front of them. And it's just things like that help people feel like they're still connected, they're still, and even just personal growth, encouraging people to record their own voices. And yeah, I know nobody can hear you, or put them in rooms of 2. You can do up to 50 rooms on those Zoom things. So split, people, and you can have partners. Like it's just being creative about that kind of thing. It's never going to be fun as hearing it all around us. But we don't want to look back in our rearview mirror after this and go, wow, I really wish that I hadn't sat and waited for it to be done. I wish I had done things during that time to really help me feel better about whether it be your own skill, your own talent. Growth inspires us, and if you sit static, you're going to be depressed. So,
right, and for all 4 of us, this is the most we've been home in probably 2 years.
I really miss that piece.
I'm afraid I forgot how to get to the airport.
I've been saying everywhere that what I miss is the adrenaline of that weekly rehearsal, and I didn't realize, and coaching sessions, and there's and I love walking into a rehearsal hall and hearing the sound of a chorus getting ready to start a rehearsal. So it's small things for me, the little side conversations. There's a specific energy. I always loved being in theater productions because it was the same thing. I just loved backstage and everything that's going on in order for that production to come together. And I just miss that sensation. But I can't even imagine this pandemic without Zoom and the capability of being able to see each other's faces. And today I'm having such a fangirl moment because we're all on the same screen.
I know.
So Lynne, what have you been doing to keep yourself?
Well, you know, I probably started the first 6 weeks like many people, where I cleaned everything you could possibly clean and cooked everything you could possibly cook and ate all of it. And I then started noticing that I was feeling kind of down. I mean, let's face it, in any given day, I can have 1,000 feelings, but I started feeling a little bit down, and a commercial came on the TV of a song. I wasn't even watching it, but I started singing it. And it dawned on me in that moment that music is everything. Music is everything. It changed my mood like that. The things that come by Facebook inspire you and make you cry and make you laugh, and the power of music. And I decided that when we got the sobering news that we were, you know, not going to be back together in person as soon as we hoped, I created a Zoom visit with other courses for the same reasons as you've all mentioned, hoping to keep us connected, reminding us of the power of music, and to keep singing, to stay educated, but mostly to stay connected and show that Zoom, that there are some cool things about Zoom too. And I'm loving it. I'm visiting courses I've never even met before, and making new friends, and sharing a little bit of education and love, and singing together. I asked us to sing together in gallery view, and to scroll through it, because it feels a little bit like we're singing with each other when I watch my friends and everybody else enjoying themselves and singing. Just found that this really uplifted me. I mean, it made a difference in my life in handling this and being with the people I love until we can be together in person again.
Absolutely. So I think that my favorite part for directors is that the chorus members are now getting to see. What I tell them all is, now you're seeing exactly what your director sees every week in a regular rehearsal. So they see the back of each other's heads, or somebody risers, but now they are responsible to each other for that level of involvement, emotion, characterization, personal investment. And it's really just that little square that they have to take care of. And so I'm seeing some people really blossom, and even though they're singing at home by themselves and they can't connect the way they would at a rehearsal, I think it's going to ultimately help if we can keep encouraging them to experiment, try and fill that little square, and then imagine yourself filling his place on the risers and reaching out to the 10th row, because our world is smaller right now, although we have a reach that is 1 billion times bigger than we ever imagined. So like, regions are doing such creative things because they can have so many people come. We're having one in September, and we have 9 faculty members coming from all over the world. And we would never have been able to do that. So that's pretty cool, I think. How about if you can tell me one thing, Erin, that you love to share with helping members get across the footlights, based on what I was just talking about. They're practicing here right now, but they're going to get back to, rehearsing and then to an audience. So what's a great way to get that message across the footlights?
I think if it was just a few things, like if you just want me a condensed answer, because there's so many facets of that, the genuine nature of it, the authentic, the why, the purpose, make sure I like to say to people, keep the arrows away from yourself. So sometimes if we know we're being measured, music isn't really meant to be measured, but especially in a competition setting or any kind of a setting where you're worried about, we go out there saying, I hope you like us versus you're going to love this. And so there's a mentality there that the concept of keeping your arrows away and sending everything. We talk a lot about moving your sound, moving your music away from you. You've got to move things away from you. Now, that being said, I'm a huge fan of encouraging people to bring your audience to you. And I think what happens is we get into this begging format of please like me, here it is, here's what I've been working on, and it's beautiful and it means, it means so much to you, but it's vacant of that confidence and that stature. And so part of the footlights is allow invitation. I always like to say, put your stage in the middle of the room, in the middle of the stadium. You've got audience all the way around you and bring them to you. And that concept is just, it's different than having to go out to get them. And that again, obviously in company with, authentic approaches and meaning what you say and being the song and all of that.
I always say to people, so the story doesn't have to be yours. You may not have the life experience. You won't have the life experience of every song that you're singing. So our job, I think you were talking about this earlier, Erin, is we're the vessel for that piece of music. And all we have to do is touch one person in the audience that the story is their story. And that makes it very authentic. So if somebody is struggling with not understanding because they didn't live it, which is something that I hear a lot of our singers say, it doesn't have to be your story. So you're trying to reach out and connect with the heart and mind of somebody sitting in that audience who will feel better by what you just sang, who will recognize their own story. It's the greatest part about performing live. There's somebody sitting in one of those seats that can respond to what you're doing. How about you, Judy? Across the footlights, something to help people get across those footlights.
I think also reminding ourselves about energy and being, to follow along with what Erin's talking about the everything going away from you. And then the 3D concept. I have a similar idea in my mind where I often imagine a disco ball and say that send your energy so as the light that's going to shine and sparkle all those little pieces off the disco ball that goes all the way around the room and it's spinning all the way around you. So send your energy out that way. It's very
visual.
Same
That's
page here.
Very creative, Judy. That's awesome.
I thank you, Erin.
You're welcome.
Probably heard it from you sometime.
You're my hero.
Been my mentor forever. So, but in any event, it's the energy and also remembering that energy is effortless, and so we don't have this try, that goes along with, as Erin was saying, I'm going to show you, and also bringing in tension and everything. It's just this joyful, energized, buoyant feeling that's bouncing off this disco ball. I think that helps get out to the audience.
I love it. Lynne?
I realize, and something I work at constantly now in my own performance and trying to help others, is that being authentic, just delivering it truly from your heart. And then I have to say, combined with a little bit of passion, it will be felt. It will get to the audience. They will feel you. They will be connected to you. It will help them remember, hopefully, of a time in their life when they felt the same way. And that it's a much better approach than trying too hard. But we all learn and grow and evolve as choreographers and singers and performers ourselves too. That's what keeps us. That's why we keep doing this, because there's room to grow and to help others.
Yes, excellent. So just one last thing then. I'll start with Judy. What's one tip you would like to share with choreographers out there for right now and for when they get back to rehearsing with their choruses in person?
Uh, I think to keep challenging yourself to keep creating, and not instead of thinking of it in terms of the limits we might have right now, keep designing with the intent that we're going to be on stage very soon, or back on the risers in the rehearsal space very soon, even if it's not as soon as we'd like, and to keep expanding and use this time to improve ourselves individually as creative artists. Take the opportunity to watch as many different YouTube videos of styles to get inspired. As Renee mentioned earlier, watch interviews, with like the choreographer for Hamilton, and tuning into this session today. It's just continuing to gather more and more information to help us become better at what we do, because this is not an opportunity in time to just stop. Like, I issued for my chorus a number of challenges. So I did a lip sync challenge, where everybody recorded themselves lip syncing. I
Okay.
gave them specific, like a bunch of songs to choose from, and then they uploaded the videos to our private Facebook page. And then I curated like 10 to 15-second music video clips from famous dance scenes like Thriller and that kind of stuff. And I asked people to pick one and video themselves doing that. And then I put together a document with a bunch of different um, characters like Johnny Depp, Captain Sparrow,
Yeah,
and
that's good.
Lucille Ball, and all this different stuff. And then I gave them a script of just like 2 or 3 lines and asked them to pick 2 or 3 of these characters and deliver these in video and then submit them.
Like
So
acting.
just trying to get acting things.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting to see, first of all, who responded and who didn't.
Yeah.
And sometimes we got surprises, and just to see people taking those risks. And so I think, as an example of how to use Zoom, I believe this is a fantastic opportunity for everybody to continue to explore and expand, and figure out different ways to continue inspiring. I think the challenge that we have, everybody here is given really fantastic examples of what they're doing right now with Zoom, and trying to get everybody performing beyond the little squares. So sharing that with other choreographers, maybe helping this community grow and inspire each other. I think we need to stay together and stay connected, and also inspire ourselves to keep growing.
Excellent. How about you, Lynn? A message to choreographers.
Yeah, I love what Judy just said. And I might just add to that, that I'm finding this time to be excellent for some visual team and or choreographer training. I mean, I have a couple of, things on the calendar, because we can meet on Zoom and we can talk about, I think that visual teams don't get enough time with someone like us. We come into their course and we have work to do, and we don't have a lot of extra time. And I think that that courses should right now take advantage of this time and reach out to any one of us or their favorite visual leader and do some Zoom training with either individually or with their visual team. And as Judy said, just keep at it. Often people say something to me like, I can't be you. I'm not you. You're not supposed to be me. What does that mean? And I tell them that actually all they really see, the reason they ask that question is they just see my passion. They see that I love this category. I have for 47-ish years, and I still do. As Renee said, we still love it. And it's just passion that makes you want to know more and grow. And so I would just ask that you think about using this time to do that over Zoom. It's excellent.
Excellent. Okay, Erin.
I love what everybody's saying. It's great. And, for me, I feel like, obviously I think we should all be lifelong learners. I think everyone should be. I'm always I notice, like people that I sit there in the room and say, you already know all this, but they're there, fearlessly writing notes. Just that concept of continuing to grow during this time, which both Lynne and Judy have alluded to. But I guess for me, when I look at really what is the need right now, I think that number one, actually, before I jump to that, the concept of growing your skills, not just if you think you're a choreographer, you're a musician. So if you have opportunities to grow in your musicianship, that will help you down the road. One of the biggest requests I get from directors is, I would really love you to help the team become more musically sensitive in their plans. And I think that visual people, they've got that in them. They're just not noticing it. And so it's just focusing in on things that they don't normally focus on. That's a good thing to do right now. And I guess in addition to that, I think we need to acknowledge, what is the need out there? And, in my experience with it, whether it be in my own course, the coaching that I'm doing over Zoom, or, just the meetings I'm having, a lot of people are looking for inspiration and motivation right now. And it's normal. I mean, we are all sad. We are all sad. But we're also, when I say that, I want to be transparent and say we all miss it. But we can also, in our rearview mirror, say, wow, but look what we did. And we are blessed to be someone in chorus who inspires emotional integrity and joy and uplifting feelings. We become pillars of that within our chorus if we're doing our job. And so right now we can totally do that for our choruses. And I think when we find ourselves in a space where we're sad, we need to say, okay, how can I feed into somebody else? And I just like make phone calls. I say, hey, I'm thinking about you today, or just something simple where people know that they're still part of something greater and they can be inspired to do something else. So I guess I know that's a very generic, general response, but I really feel like we can be as visual people and as people generally in our organization, not just visual folks. I mean, all of us, we are empowered right now to feed each other, to reach back and pull somebody forward when they need it. So that can be part of, this whole emotional growth that we have as humans, and that helps us in our performing. So it's empathy, right? We need to instill empathy.
Yeah. And, I do think that the treadmill of what we were doing is going to be so different when we get back. So, and what I mean by the treadmill is the calendar, the yearly calendar, and what we were focused on. And people often felt like, oh, we're doing that again. We're doing another show again. There was kind of this general feeling that, I guess what I want to say is we took a little bit of that for granted. And we're going to treasure it a little bit more. And I think we're going to be able to help them show that on the outside, even if they can't necessarily do that in their personal life. As performers, they're going to be able to open up and share music in a new way. So that gets me excited. I don't know when it's going to be, but I think, I totally hear what you're all saying, and I think we have a thread that we're weaving through what everybody is experimenting with right now, in trying to make sure that we stay connected and understand how important this is to us. So I really appreciate you all taking time to talk with me today. It's an unprecedented experience that the world is having, and we just had an unprecedented experience by getting to spend an hour talking to each other. I admire the work that all of you do so much, and I'm looking forward to the members getting to just hear about the thing that we love to do. So I'm looking behind Lynne's head, and it says "Make Today Amazing," and I know that the three of you will go and do that. I hope that you all stay safe, your families stay safe, and we stay Sweet Adeline strong, so we can get back together and create music and sound together. So thank you so much for joining in with Zoom Chats today.
Thank you, Renee.
Thank you, Renee. Thanks, everybody.
Nice seeing everybody.